Tell me about prior to I Spit on Your Grave, where the interest in filmmaking began for you.
Well, the first time I remember that I said that I would like to make movies was when I came out of a screening in a movie theater. I was 12 years old of a movie called The Bicycle Thief.
Mm.
Are you familiar with it?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
And that's what I like to hear, because most people don't know anything about this movie. So when I saw this movie, it really got to me, it touched me emotionally, spiritually, and I said, I'd like to make movies. I was 12 years old. And then I collected some money that I had, some pennies there, some nickels there, and I bought myself a movie cover, silent movie cover, and a projector, and I made a lot of amateurish films, since I was 12, 13 years old. Then when I was 17 or 18, I wrote my first screenplay based on a story by somebody who later was the cinematographer of Day of the Woman. And Yoel Haviv, the cinematographer, the DP of Day of the Woman, was making movies then in Israel. And I was a young kid, teenager, and he told me the story that he wanted to make a movie based upon, and I wrote the screenplay. And that's how it evolved. And later I wrote 2 books in Israel, 2 novels, one of which was made into a movie, another screenplay which was also based on a story by Yoel Haviv. And that's basically my career in Israel until I was 25 years old.
First of all, how you began the project. You were inspired by a real-life event where you happened upon and assisted a victim of rape yourself, right?
Yeah, I don't know if the word inspired is correct. Maybe affected by the event. Not inspired, but affected by the horrible event, yes. And it's all being chronicled in my commentary, which you can hear in the DVD or the Blu-ray disc that will come out on February the 8th, in about 2-3 weeks from now.
I'm always interested to know when you're shooting material this intense. What is that atmosphere like on the set?
That's a good question. It depends what scene you're shooting. I would say that I had a wonderful crew, very mature people who read the script, knew exactly what they are about to do and be part of. But yet, there were some scenes that we shot that some of the crew people were affected by them and just quit. The most difficult moment for me, moments in plural for me, were when I discovered this girl, 18 or 19 years old, coming out of the bushes, totally naked, bloodied, muddied, walking like a zombie, glassy eyes, jaw broken, and walking toward me. That was the hardest moment. To direct it 2 years later was just a matter of dramatizing what I'd seen 2 years earlier.
Right.
And I just made sure that what I'd seen and experienced 2 years earlier in 1974, and the movie was shot in 1976, I just wanted to make sure that you and anybody else who sees it will experience it and have the same impact as it had on me.
Well, when the film was released, a section of the audience said that it was misogynist. Another section said it was about female empowerment. when did you start to feel the perception of the film changing, and when did you realize that this movie it has legs and it's really going to have some enduring power and influence?
Okay, very good question. I can tell you that I knew about it before it came out in the United States. Because remember, I finished the movie in February of 1978. 3 months later, in May of 78, I took it to Cannes, to the Cannes Film Festival film market. And there I sold it to about a dozen territories, with the exception of the U.S. and Canada, because nobody wanted to buy it here. And the movie opened first, one of the first territories where it opened was in the United Kingdom, in England. And it made a sensation there and was a best-selling, before it was banned, and made a lot of money. And was all over the papers. Everybody was talking about it. And I knew then that I've got something there that will leave its impact for the next 5 years. Still believing it will take only 5 years, which is a long time, for a movie. So that was prior to Ebert, prior to Siskel, prior to anything in the United States, because nobody knew or heard about it in the USA. And already in the first month or two that it opened, it was selling on the VHS videotape in the United Kingdom, it went on the best-selling list and remained there for weeks upon weeks upon weeks.
But it is still a movie that it's still very visceral. It's lost none of its impact. And we've become more and more kind of desensitized to, so many elements of quote-unquote horror films. But this one is so visceral, and it still inspires debate. That same debate that met the film upon its release, is still very, very much there.
It's still going on, yes.
Yeah. So why didn't you? I know you directed another film, Don't Mess with My Sister, in '85. Why has there been such a lapse in your film direction? Have you wanted to go back into film directing?
In the 70s, I had a movie theater in New York City. A huge movie theater, 1,350 seats. It was one of those palaces that was built in 1928. And I remember showing movies there and showing movies and more movies. And one day I said to myself, I've got to make a feature film. I'd rather make one movie that we play in 10,000 movie theaters worldwide than have 10,000 movies playing in one theater that I own. So I made two, and so I made one more than I expected. I was the executive producer of a movie called Holy Hollywood that my son directed, with Mickey Rooney, and now the executive producer of the remake.
When they approached you with the idea of a remake, you had originally wanted a sequel instead of a remake. What were your intentions with the sequel? How would that story have continued?
Well, I don't want to give too much, but all I can say is that it's 20 years later. And the heroine, obviously Jennifer Hills, who is 20 years older, has written a best-selling book that conveys all that she went through, as we see in the movie. And obviously, this little village, this town, where the rape and revenge had taken place, they want justice. There she's very, very famous. The whole world talks about her. She's written a best-selling book, and it infuriates them, and they want a revenge.
Mm.
And
That's great. That's a great idea.
Yeah, and I leave it at that.
I like that.
Yeah.
Have you lived in LA all this time?
No, let me go back to when I was 25 years old and I came to America. And at the age of 27, I got my first job in the movies at the United Nations television and film department. And I was there for 1965 until 1969 for 4 consecutive years. And I did a lot of worked on a lot of documentaries, which were obviously mainly propaganda for the United Nations. After 4 years, I decided, well, it's being buried alive in a beautiful building with a lot of good benefits, etc. But it's being dead. There's so much to do in movies. What am I doing there? Doing documentaries about the United Nations, which is all propaganda. So I quit. They offered me permanency. I remember they offered me $12,000 a year. $12,000 a year at that time in 1969 was like making $120,000 a year now. And I turned it down, and no, I said I'm going to work as a freelance. And I did a lot of editing as a freelance for about a year. And then in 1970, I opened my own business, doing all the post-production, production. And I had my office in Times Square in New York City, in Manhattan. And the office was there for 25 years. For 25 years, I had my office there. And right in the heart of Times Square. I was living also not far away from there. I was living on 55th Street and Broadway. My office was on 46th and Broadway. So I was doing services for a lot of other companies, I did commercials and documentaries and some features and that kind of thing. That is mostly services. And then in 1976, I embarked on making Day of the Woman.
Yeah.
So that was the first feature I made here. So somehow I closed the holes now, pertaining to your first question of how did I start?
We did it, yes.
So we did it, yeah. We closed all the holes. Yeah, so, but again, going back to your question, if I live all the time in L.A., no. When I came to the United States in 1962, I was for about 5 or 6 weeks living in New York with some relatives. And then a relative of mine in Los Angeles said, come over to the city of the angels, you know. And sunny side, there's all the sun all the time, and it's nice, etc. So I took a bus, 10 days, a Greyhound bus from New York all the way to LA, and I stopped every other day, and, all along the width and length of the United States, and loved it and enjoyed it very much. Then when I came to LA, to my uncle, I suddenly realized, my goodness, what is this? It's a cemetery for living people. After being in New York for 5 or 6 weeks and coming to this town where it's sunny and beautiful, but so dead.
Yeah,
you don't see any people in the street. Nobody walking, and everybody's in a car, and nobody in the street, and you don't hear dogs barking and cats walking by, or people outside the nothing. And I was eager to go back. But I'll tell you an interesting story that has to do with the movie as well. In 1962, when I was there, when I was in LA for the first time, a lady friend that I knew called me up and said, I'm coming over to pick you up. I'm going to show you Los Angeles. And one of the first places she took me to was to the Chinese Grauman Theater.
Right.
For those who don't know about the Chinese Grauman Theater, it's an historical landmark. It was built in the mid to late 20s, and about 80 years ago. And they were showing the premiere of some of the most famous movies in Hollywood. And this is the place where outside, by the entrance, before you enter the movie theater, you have the handprints, footprints, the signatures of the most famous actors, directors, producers in motion picture history. So anyway, she takes me to this place, and I look at it, I'm in awe, and I've seen it in movies, and now I'm there, and it's real, and I'm, and it was a Sunday about 10:30, 11 in the morning. And as we looked at the names of the actors and director and producer that I'm familiar with, I don't think producer, they're only directors and actors there. And as I'm looking at it and enjoying it and relating to the names that I see, suddenly I see the people are coming in and out of the theater. And I said, what is it? There's a matinee there? And if it's a matinee, I said at 10:30, 11 in the morning, Sunday, how come there's no usher to collect the tickets? So I said to my lady friend, let's go in, see what's going on there. I mean, was it a free movie? We go in through the entrance, no usher to collect the tickets, and as we go into the hall to the movie theater, I see somebody standing on the pulpit and preaching. So I realized then that Sunday they turn in the morning for church.
Oh, wow.
And then in the afternoon they have a show, and in the evening they have a show. But Sunday morning, somebody told me they rented it for church. As we go out back to the front of the Chinese theater, we see a beautiful stretched out limousine standing right in front of the theater, and there is a uniformed driver, a chauffeur, leaning against the door, waiting for his master to come out of the church. And as we reach the sidewalk, he says to us, "Hey, young couple, did you hear what happened today?" I said, "You're talking to us?" He said, Yeah. "Did you hear what happened this morning?" We said, "No. Well, what happened this morning?" The chauffeur says, "Mary Monroe found dead."
Oh, wow.
So now you know when I was exactly at the front of the movie of the Chinese theater in 1962, which I believe it was August something. In 1962, 47 years later, I Spit in Your Grave, There's the Woman, is playing at the Chinese theater.
What has been the most satisfying thing for you, satisfying part of this journey for you with Day of the Woman all these years?
Speaking with you right now.
Well, I appreciate that very much.
I mean it. You're intelligent, you're well educated, you know about the movie, you ask the right questions, and it was a wonderful journey since the day that I've written the script, in April. I started writing in April of 76, It took me about 4 months. And until this very moment when I'm talking with you, and I mean it.
Well, it's been a joy for me too, and let me say that things in life change so much, but it's what's so beautiful about film when you hit the zeitgeist and you strike a nerve. I mean, movies endure, films live, and your film certainly has all these years, and you should be very satisfied by that.
I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Coming from you, I appreciate it. When did you see it? When did you see it the first time?
Oh, the first time it was probably when I was in my late teens on video. and then I rewatched it a couple of weeks ago on a DVD that they sent me to review. I watched that and the remake.
Okay.
It's still as powerful as it was when I first watched it as a teen. It's lost nothing for me.
When you say it's just powerful, I appreciate that. What do you feel about the difference between the original and the remake?
Well, the remake certainly has more of an emphasis kind of on the vengeance aspect of it, doesn't it? I mean, structurally.
Don't ask me because I will not give you an answer. I want to find the answer from you. Because
it does. I mean, I thought that the remake. I thought that exactly. I thought that the remake was very well done, and I think if it brings even more attention to your original film, then that's terrific.
Go ahead.
I thought it was a very, very respectful remake in that it was respectful of your source material. You were actually involved in that entire process, weren't you? I mean, you were involved from the get-go in that, weren't you?
Even from before that, yes. Yeah, from inception, because they couldn't have done anything before we signed the agreement. First of all, Stephen Mortimer, the director, a very dignified, respected person, who knows what he's doing. And kudos also to Lisa Hansen and Paul Herzberg, the producers who produced this movie.
Right.
And one other thanks and kudos should go to a guy called Kevin Kasha, who works for Anchor Bay, that also green-lighted it and make sure that, who convinced Anchor Bay to take over the movie and distribute it. So all in all, there were very good people. There are a lot of people who were involved with it and still are involved with it, who really cherished this movie and respected it. So that's why the remake looks, as you said, with, as undeniably respectful to the original. Yeah.
Let's get the sequel done. I want to see the sequel.
Now at least you know now something about it.
Yeah.
All I can, Jamie, I can tell you that we are now discussing the sequel.
Okay.
Okay. If everything goes well and smooth, there is a chance that we'll start production of the sequel maybe even this year, at least preliminary preparation.
Now, would you have a desire to be back in the director's chair for that?
Very much. It's a great possibility. Yeah.
Oh, that'll be that.
I've written the screenplay. Okay. And there's a great chance that I will decide. I mean, this is a matter of what I decide. You know, that if I want to direct it, that's what it will be. And most likely, so far, as you said, things change so much, you never know, But so far I can tell you that there's a great possibility that I will decide to do that and I will do it. And as I mentioned to you again, there are a few other projects that I'm working on. And what will come first, we don't know, but obviously a great chance for the sequel to come forth first because, it's known. And marketing-wise, it's the right time to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's very possible that it will go into at least pre-production or preliminary production, of this year.
When your film was the subject of such controversy upon its release, and obviously it's continued to be for many years, did you look at that as a great benefit to the film? Did you take any of it personally because this is your film, this is your baby?
Never took it personally. Maybe when I first discovered the internet in when I had the internet, I think it was 1998, when I had for the first time the internet. And suddenly I saw the Amazon, especially, a lot of remarks, and there were some insulting remarks about it. Maybe then, for a little short while, I took it personally, and then the more they came, the more I welcomed them, because I realized it's nothing but great publicity for the movie.
Right.
And out of this, if somebody was saying, even insulting about it, I said, fine, that's his feeling. I mean, who am I to tell him what to think, what not to think? It's like him telling me what to direct, what kind of movie to make, what to include and what not to include. And since that, there were thousands and hundreds of thousands of remarks pro and con about the movie, I accept them all with love, and never, ever, other than the first few months in 1998, when I first discovered the internet and the remarks about it, never take it seriously, and I don't mind it. Everybody has the right to say whatever you want to say about it. And obviously I'm referring more to the negative remarks about the movie. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's what they feel about it. Even though sometimes you can see that they don't understand what they've seen, and they make some remarks that have nothing to do with the movie, and it's just hate. For me, when somebody says something negative about the movie, he should find something positive as well to say about it.
Right.
But when it's so negative, I'll just disregard it. It's okay. That's what he thinks. That's how he feels. Let it go. I respect those that find the balance of good and bad about the subject matter. And there are plenty like that.
Well, I think that
of course, there are some people who just gung-ho and everything is just positive about the movie. And sometimes you wonder why. I mean, there are some weaknesses to this movie as well. Mm-hmm. And if you ask me, well, Meir, you said weaknesses, would you change anything there now if you would have a chance to do it? And I would say no. I wouldn't change one single frame.
It speaks to the power of the film that people are still talking about it, and how many movies do we see that we're just completely apathetic to? I mean, we don't feel one way or another about it, and your film is so powerful that, like I said, the debate continues. That's wonderful.
Yeah,
it's wonderful.
Yeah, and I really take it as a compliment from you as well. It's very flattering. It still goes on, and who knows? I know one thing: it outlives its negative reviewers.
Yes.
It outlives them. I don't want to mention names.
Right.
I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about. Yes, sir.
And I know that will outlive also you and me as well.
Yes.
What can I say? I hear that they're now studying it in a lot of universities and film schools. It's interesting. When it played at the Chinese Theater in October of last year, one guy told me, hey, I want to tell you something. Your movie influenced me. I said, in what way? He said, well, when I was 12 years old, I saw it. And I decided I want to be a filmmaker also. I said, well, you saw it when you were 12 years old? That's why you're so sick. How can a 12 years old see a movie like that? That's not for you. He said, well, I did, and it influenced me, and until now, I want to make a movie that will really leave its impact on the audience. What's your name? I asked him. He said, John Carpenter. Said,
really?
John Carpenter said, no, I just have the same name, but it's not me. Yeah. There are a lot of interesting stories that I can tell you. me and my fiancée went to film festival in Montreal. That was July of last year. And it was a beautiful festival and really standing ovation and wonderful, wonderful crowd. And after 4 days of being there, we had to go back to Los Angeles to fly back.
Mm-hmm.
So we take a taxi, the car, they pick us up, and we go to the airport. And in the airport, we stand in line to get through the security. That's the Canadian security. Everything goes well. Now we have to go to the other side, to the American side. To go backward a little bit to let you know that I was interviewed in Montreal by British newspapermen for the Montreal Daily, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And he wrote a beautiful article about the movie, about my interview with him, etc., and I got a copy. So I put one copy. I didn't have time to read it because we were very busy at the festival, so I took it and put it in my handbag. So now we're standing in line to get through the American line and the custom. And finally, when we reach the booth where the custom agent is, uniform custom agent, American uniform custom agent, he looks at me with a grouchy face. He looks at the two passports, mine and my fiancée, and he says, "What were you doing in Canada, in Montreal?" I said, "We came for some business." The very grouchy voice, "What kind of business?" I said, "Sir, motion picture. Motion picture? What kind of motion picture? What are you talking about?" I said, "Well, we made a movie and I was in a film festival." "What film festival?" I gave him the name of the film festival. He said, "What movie?" With a little smile on my face, I said, I pointed to my handbag, and I said, "Well, you want me to show you? I have an article about it." "I don't care about the article. Tell me what kind of movie." I looked at him, and I said, "Sir, if you put a little tiny smile on your lips, you'll sound a little bit more cordial and pleasant." I said, "Are you telling me how to talk?" I said, "No, I'm just telling you that with a little bit smile, you can sound a little bit nicer than the way you sound now." "Did you buy anything in Canada?" I said, "No." "I suspect you did."
Wow.
So, my friend said, he's telling me, "Hey, Meir, don't, leave him alone." I said, "What did he? Come on, don't worry about it. He has no right to speak to us like that."
Mm-hmm.
He says, "Looks suspicious to me." I said, "I do. They look like a terrorist." He froze the both passports, my fiancee's and mine. "Follow me." Well, I smiled and I followed him, and my fiancee, "Man, come on, look what happened." I said, Don't worry. It's an adventure. Don't worry about it." He takes us to a huge hall, a different entrance, different building, and over there we see is one other agent, uniform like him, American custom agent, sitting behind the counter, and he comes to the man behind the counter with the glasses. He wears glasses, and he says, "I suspect them. Check their luggage, because I think that they both think that they said they declared they didn't." And he walks away. I say to the guy with the glasses and the other customer, "Look, he's pestering us. He's talking to us with a very unpleasant tone, and we are an American citizen just like he is, and he shouldn't be wearing the uniform." He said, look, man, he said, I don't care what happened with him. I got an order from him, and I'm supposed to check your luggage, so please sit down over there on the bench, and I'm going to call for your bags to come, and when they come, I check it. I said, look, sir, in 35 minutes, our plane is leaving. We don't want to miss it. We also want to go and get something to eat before we go up to the plane. He said, I cannot do anything. I'm going to order the luggage. When they come to me, then, you know, I'll see what I can do. First of all, I've got to check your luggage. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes pass. We sit there against the wall, and after about 25 minutes, the luggage come. So I said, okay, come over to me. We come over to him. He puts on plastic gloves on both hands, and he says, I'm going to open this suitcase. What suitcase? Are you sure we didn't buy anything? I said with a smile, sure, sir, sure, we didn't buy anything. Don't worry about it. So he unzips one suitcase, and he says to me, what have you been doing in Montreal? I said, business. What kind of business? Motion picture. What kind of motion picture? I said, well, there was a film festival there, and there's a movie that I made. And he said, what movie? I point to my handbag, and I say, as I said to the previous customer, you want me to show you? And he said, yeah, show me. I unzip my handbag, and I pull out the paper, the newspaper, and I open it to the page where the interview with me, and you know, about the remake. He looks at it. He said, are you Meir Zarchi? I said, yeah. That's your name? It's you? I said, yeah. He said, you made this movie? You made the original and you were involved in the remake? I said, yes. He takes off his plastic gloves off his hands, removes them, zips back the handbag, didn't check it, and he comes to me and he hugs me, and he says, you know, this is one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. I just heard that they made a remake, so I rented the original a few weeks ago, and I've seen it again. I wish I would have a camera so I can take a picture with you. Go, don't miss your plane.
Well, they're the perks of being a celebrity.
Call it whatever you want to call it, but you asked me if I enjoy, you know, whether I enjoyed any moment or all the moments or everything that went throughout, you know, the 32 years. So this is one of very beautiful, lovely, bizarre stories.
Yes. Yeah.
This is one of the latest ones.